Good morning and welcome. If you are here for Benefit of the Bargain Round 2 webinar from CPUC, you are in the right place. We'll give it another minute for others to join. We'll start promptly at 9:03. Thank you for your patience. Hello, good morning, and welcome all to our latest webinar on the BEAD program in California. My name is Ali Eshraghi. I'm a program project supervisor here at CPUC, and along with my colleagues from CPUC, CTC Technology and Energy and Technology, and Ready.net, we are uh, presenting today's webinar. Today is a particularly important webinar as it covers how you can participate in our Benefit of the Bargain Round 2. The CPUC received an extension from NTIA that allowed us to reopen a significant number of PAUs to receive more applications. And we will walk you through how you can participate in today's webinar. We'll also explain what the rules are for this round, many of which are the same as the first round of Benefit of the Bargain. Can go to this agenda slide. So here is the agenda for today's webinar, generally covering the terms of this new round, what is relevant to you as you're filling out your applications, the rules and parameters of this round, and any changes in the application portal made to accommodate this round. We'll close out this session with a demonstration of the BEAD portal. Next slide. A few housekeeping items for today's session. Keep an eye on the chat for helpful links that my colleague posts there. In terms of Q&A, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A or email them to us at beadgrant@cpuc.ca.gov. Unfortunately, we are not able to answer questions during this session, but we will be building those questions, including those questions in our next FAQ that we will publish next week. We are going to have another one today, but does not cover questions from today's session. I also want to let you know that as you probably seen in our communication, we are going to have our next office hour next week. Please check our website for registration link. In terms of closed captions, English closed captions are available. Select show captions on the toolbar. And for the best viewing experience, you can select side by side so you can both see the slides as well as the speaker. Now I'll turn it over to Ziggy Rifkin-Fish from CTC Technology and Energy, our partner in the BEAD planning process. He'll present the content portion of this webinar. Thank you, Ziggy.
All right, thank you, Ali. Let's just jump right into it. Next slide. As I know that most of you have already participated in round one, but just a reminder, this process is based on the policy notice, BEAD restructuring policy notice that NTI released, outlining the rules for how these benefit of the bargain rounds are supposed to be run. And there are very, very, very few differences from round one. So that was the major sort of departure from how it was previously run. And we'll go over some of the highlights of that. Next slide. So SCPUC received an extension that allowed for this additional round. And as you know, the round has opened officially yesterday and will run until October 3rd. And we're encouraging new and existing applicants to submit priority broadband project applications. And the PAUs, project area units that will be made available are the ones that did not receive a priority project applications that could be assigned. And there are, a variety of different reasons why that might be the case. Could have been too expensive, could have been that one was actually awarded, but because of overlapping applications, only some were and not all, which left some PAUs sort of available, and they're therefore made available for this round. We are encouraging everyone and all to participate regardless of technologies and status. We will, of course, assess as we're required or to the degree to which an applicant for that specific project area qualifies for priority, but we will evaluate all applications. More on that later. We are also in parallel still running the pre-qualification that will also remain open until October 2nd. So if you haven't, and again, if you need to and you haven't already done pre-qualification, you still can do it, but that is required prior to the application submission. Next. All right, so here's some of the parameters. It's more than 5,000 PAUs. I believe it's almost 5,500 are eligible. And these have been posted on the website. And only these eligible PAUs that have been reopened are available. None of, if a PAU does not show up, it's because has been preliminarily assigned, it's in negotiations, or there's some other reason why it's not available. Next. As I said, we're welcoming both new and the existing applicants. You can submit for this round too, and as I said, you have to submit that pre-qualification if you did not do so already. If you submitted and you participated, there's no need for you to do it again. Now, for applicants that that participated in round one with application that only contains PAUs that have been reopened. In other words, they weren't all the PAUs that they were interested in and have submitted project applications for are the ones in this round. Then they have a variety of different choices. They can submit a new one that replaces the previous one, or they can update it, or they can just let it stand as is and say, well, we'd like to keep it as it was in round one and not make any changes. And again, you can absolutely, and we encourage you to take another look and see if you'd like to expand. We'd like to cover as many BSLs and PAUs with priority broadband project as feasible. Next. Um, so in terms of sort of technically how you'll figure this out, the applications that only have those PAUs that were reopened for round two, and again they can stand as submitted, will be labeled as eligible for round two in the portal. And of course, you're welcome to submit new applications for these PAUs, same PAUs, more PAUs, etc. Um, Now, if you do, then the previous application, and it overlaps the previous application, then the previous application will be disregarded. Um, if and then if you have PAUs that have not been reopened in that previous application, so you had a previous application, it has some of the reopened PAUs, but not but some have been uh, already awarded or otherwise deemed ineligible, then the entire application will be labeled as ineligible. So since these are no longer available PAUs, you have to redraw your map, and the application will be labeled as ineligible for round two in the portal. Next. So time is of the essence. Just like with round one, and this is the same challenge that every state is facing, there really isn't any time for substantive curing reviews. So please make sure you complete um, it thoughtfully and carefully. And in particular, just based on the experience we had in round one, make sure you complete those technology templates. They are required for two different reasons. The They are required to allow us to assess if you qualify for priority broadband status, and we had some unfortunate occurrences where folks clearly tried to do their best but forgot to upload certain files or left certain information blank that they had clearly intended to complete later and just forgot about it. And so please make sure that you prioritize that. And if you're already started on your applications, you may want to do this in parallel and or front your efforts on completing those technology templates. Next. So timeline, um, the prequel has already been running for a while, and it closes this right before um, the actual main round, round two, closes. So they're running in parallel, and the bargain round two has opened yesterday and will run until October 3rd. Once we have the selections and um, we we spend some time doing some analysis and then doing preliminary awards, and troubleshooting any issues, and then it goes through a process of internal review, and then finally it will be released for draft resolution and final proposal submission to NTIA. There is going to be a comment period. It's going to be shortened, and we will let you know as soon as we can on our website what the dates involved will be. Next. So this is hopefully very familiar to you if you've already gone through it. I know we have a few new entrants, but Priority Broadband Project has been defined for the benefit of the bargain rounds. as 100/20 with a less latency that is less or equal to 100 milliseconds. And this is key, can easily scale speeds over time to meet the evolving connectivity needs of households and businesses and support the deployment of 5G, successor wireless technologies, and other advanced services. And this is what those technology templates that we've provided um, um, collects information to assess. Um, so, and as the BEAD restructuring policy notice mandated, your project will be evaluated against this priority broadband definition on a per project basis. So we're obviously not doing any technology specific sort of blanket assessment. Each project will be looked at individually. And of course, all technologies are eligible for priority consideration. Next. This is key. I believe everybody here knows it, but it just to clear up any confusion, we will, after we've done our assessment and review and validated or confirmed priority status for those who seek it for their projects, once we've done that, we now look at the proposals we've received, and we have to give priority or preference to those that are classified as priority broadband projects. Next. So there are specific questions in the application that allows us to do this. Most of those are in those templates that I mentioned. So they are available for download. Please review them, even if and get it to your engineer ASAP. So even if it's something that you plan to complete within the next few days and not necessarily today, make sure that this is something that is reviewed beforehand so you know what you are getting into. Next. There are different templates that are, even though they are functionally looking at they have the same functional definition they rely on in terms of scalability, etc. Obviously, each technology looks different in terms of how it manages, say, interference or backhaul capacity, etc. And so the technology templates are tailored for those technologies. If you have a mix of different technologies, you may have to complete more than one template. And this presentation will be made available to you after the fact. So I'm not going to go into all the different details, but they are adapted to each technology, but they rely on the same functional definition of scalability and sort of try to look equivalently at backhaul and scalability, capacity, etc. Next. Project area design, pretty much the same rules. It's the same census block groups and tribal lands that are the basis for a definition of a project area unit. You can combine multiple PAUs as long as they are, we wrote adjacent, but it's really contiguous to each other. The difference is that contiguity includes PAUs that are quote unquote non-scoring, like they're not eligible uh, because they've already been assigned or they are served or otherwise ineligible. And those can be sort of skipped over to string together a project area. Um, so next one, and this, by the way, this is the interface is visual. It's pretty easy to use it in the portal. And our Ready.net, our portal partner, is can talk a little bit about more about that. We're still doing a minimal coverage threshold of 60% BSLs in the proposed project. That is across the project. It's not in the specific PAU. So there you could have a PAU with you could have like 10 PAUs and one of them happens to only pick up 40% BSLs. But as long as the average across the project is 60%, you're good. Next one. So as you know, NTIA has made it very clear that it will not accept projects that are excessive in cost, and they reserve the right to reject any proposed deployment project. It has not really defined what constitutes excessive cost, but it has, as I'm sure most of you are aware, the certain numbers have been published in the trade literature, and that is sort of publicly available. The last I heard, it was 20,500. That's not a guarantee. It is only what this trade is, literature is estimating that NTIA will be imposing in California. So that may be a marker for you to consider when you put your project costs and areas together. Next. Scoring, it's the same as in round one, which means that the primary method of assessing cost is minimal BEAD program outlay. But because of the preference required for priority applications, it means that those have to be assessed first. So if you only have a single priority application, as long as it's not too costly, it might be assigned. And it will be given preference over any non-priority applications. If a proposal cost is within 15% of the lowest cost proposal for the same general project area and priority status, then CPUC is allowed to select based on secondary scoring criteria, which relate to speeds and scalability. Next. So the primary criteria is lowest cost based on minimal program outlay, and the secondary has two elements, the speed to deployment and speed of network. And those secondary criteria, again, only kick in if you have two or more proposals within the same general project area, and same general project area is something is a term that NTIA uses. So if you have them, if they're far away from each other, you obviously not comparing them directly. But if they are in the same general project area, then if they are within 15%, then they get to be compared against each other based on speed to deployment and speed of network. So you get certain points for each. And here's the sort of breakdown. You get 10 points for if you can complete the project within 36 months of awards. That is something that the engineering team validates based on your submitted technical and project schedule evidence. to make sure that that your claim to be able to do this is actually feasible. And it also, if you're awarded, this is an implied commitment on your part that you will stand by this. And then speed of network um, is where you can pick up the most points based on the speeds that you can attain. And again, this will be reviewed by the engineering team to ensure that you can actually attain the speeds you're claiming. Next. Um, so you can, the BEAD portal is very flexible. You can select your PAUs and individual locations and deselect locations that you do not want to include. And I think the Ready team will have some screenshot to illustrate this, but that you're basically clicking X on the location from the list of locations in that project area to select and deselect those. Um, and also the portals automatically calculates whether you've reached your 60% threshold. And I believe it doesn't really allow you to proceed if you're under the 60% mark. So then you may have to add some more locations or shed a PAU that has a very low coverage percentage to make the math work. The new thing is that you have now some eligible and ineligible tags which show what applications will be considered for round two. Um, and we've already gone through this, so but any new application that overlaps with that previous one will replace and nullify it. Next one. We have one new question that has been added to round two. And it reads, please certify that the applicant understands that if this application overlaps with any of the previously submitted applications, it will replace and nullify the previously submitted one. So this is just to confirm that you understand that, and there isn't any confusion, that if you submit a new application and it overlaps the previous one will be disregarded. I should also mention that we've and this becomes pertinent here. We have some guidance for you, and one of the key parts of that is a frequently asked questions, which we are populating as quickly as we can based on any questions we've received. And one of the things that has been asked is tribal consent, for example. We had a question, and I believe it's still in the pre-call, but we did have a question that implied that you committed to submit the consent decree from the tribe with the prior to award, and that is that NTA released guidance fairly recently that changed the rules on that, and that's no longer necessary. So, and I believe that the application has been updated to reflect that. So you won't see it in the application. There may still be some legacy language in the pre-qual though. But the idea here is that you have 6 months from final proposal submission to uh, to uh, to get that consent from the tribe. So it does not have to be done right away. Next. So if you haven't done so, submit your pre-qual. Hopefully it shouldn't be a heavy lift here. Take a look at the PAUs that will be eligible. There's a lot of them. And make sure that your applications are complete and accurate. and compliant at time of submission. And in particular, as I mentioned before, take a look at those technical templates and make sure that they are completed. There are details to take a look at. For example, with fixed wireless projects, you will be you can use just about any standard based or industry tool for propagation. Um, Whatever you're comfortable with will probably work, but just make sure that you actually use it, or you're not going to be able to complete the questions, answer the questions. Next. Okay, that's my part of it. And I believe Reddy might have some um, screenshots to share with you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ziggy. Good morning, everyone. I'm Clay Woolley with Ready.net, and we're going to be walking through a quick demo of the platform itself. So let me get that pulled up. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see my screen okay. All right. Hearing no issues. So starting, this is the login page. So this is where you'll come every single time you're ready to do some activities in the portal. For logging in, you'll use the email that you registered with or that you were invited with into the platform. And here you can log in by using your password. If you forgot your password, it will send an email to the assigned email, or you can log in using your email through a magic link. So for today, I'll use the password option. Once you're logged in, just a bit of quick housekeeping items. It'll take you to the homepage. And if you see next to pre-qualification that you are qualified, this means that you are able and ready to start actual BEAD applications. Um, Here you can also see teammates that are part of your project already. If you need to add new teammates, people from your company or consultants who are working with you, you can invite them by clicking this button here, adding in their information, and an invite will be sent to their inbox. One more housekeeping item, just to take a look at pre-qualification. This will need to be submitted, not necessarily qualified for you to begin your application process, but you can see that there is a checkbox next to all of those different items, and you can download a copy for your records. Once it's submitted and you've reviewed all of those items, you can begin the application process. This is your application dashboard. And before we dive into an application itself, want to call out this note about the filters here. By default, we're filtered to round 3, which is benefit of the bargain round 2. If you want to see what you submitted during benefit of the bargain round 1, you can select that and apply those filters. For this test environment, none were submitted, so there are 0 results. However, if you had submitted some applications, the tags that were mentioned earlier, whether it is eligible or ineligible, it will appear next to that application here on the tag section of the table. Moving right along, we're going to start a new application. So this is going to be our demo application. We'll start here. So you can see the same green check marks carry across for relevant questions and sections. If something has not been completed, all of the mandatory questions with the red asterisk next to them, you will not receive a green check mark. You'll also notice as you continue working through that there are certain questions that are noted as intentionally left blank. These are left blank on purpose, and they remain in the application for continuity purposes between different rounds. So you are not required to do anything with these questions, but they are there to keep the numbering intact. Moving next to the map. Those of you who have applied before should be familiar with the map at this point. We've kept most of the same functionality intact. I think from a high level, what we want to call out are the different colors of the PAUs. So you have sort of this goldish color for tribal lands, the gray color for non-scoring, and then the blue color for scoring. Additionally, you can filter CAIs on and off. See how that appears on the map. You can also filter by unserved and underserved. And there are additional mapping layers meant to help with your process and analyzing what exists in an area. So then moving to PAU selection, like we talked about with the continuity errors, or sorry, contiguous errors and different things that will stop process in the platform. If I'm just trying to serve this PAU, for example, it is eligible, have all those locations. There are no errors preventing me from proceeding. But let's say that I also want to pick up this PAU over here. Then you'll get a multiple contiguous areas error. So what you'll want to do is pick up other areas along your way. So let's say I just wanted these two. I can pick up some non-scoring PAUs on the way, and the contiguous error will disappear at that point. Once I have selected all the PAUs and have reviewed them, I can move on to review locations. And as mentioned earlier, this will auto select the locations within these areas where you can review. You can hone in and click to view these locations. You can drop by clicking the X next to them. You can also select all or clear all. So if I move out and let's say I wanted to upload by using location IDs in a template, I could add those back there. If I've not reached the 60% threshold that was mentioned, then it will not allow you to proceed and save your locations. So I'm going to go back to selecting all of these. And again, here, this dropdown allows you to upload a CSV of locations if you prefer to select that way. And you can get a copy of the locations by downloading an Excel or a CSV of those. Once this is done, you can save your locations. And once they're saved, you'll have a green check mark up there next to select locations. If you need to return at any point, you can edit your project area by clicking this here. And it will take you back to the start where you can then start selecting additional PAUs. In application, one other area that we want to take a look at, there are certain fields that are automatically calculated. And you'll see those pop up throughout the application itself. So you can see, for example, of these selected locations, you'll have different criteria that are automatically populated. No action is needed by you for these questions, but they are there for your review and confirmation. Moving back to the dashboard, this is where you can see everything that you have in progress or what may have been submitted. So as you approach being ready to submit your application, you should have everything green up at the top along these menu bars. You can see that all these sections are completed. They are ready to submit. So when you are ready to submit, you can go to the final page where you can download an application PDF for your records as well as a CSV. And then after carefully reviewing all of these, again, just to remind that we do not have much time here. So all the information needs to be accurate. So please take your time and review here. And once you are ready and you've reviewed everything, you can hit the submit application button, where it will give you the disclaimer again that everything needs to be submitted and we will not have much of an opportunity for revisions. And then you can submit when you're ready. And that will move this application from in progress into review. And I believe that is it for today. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Clay. That brings us to the end of our webinar. Thank you everyone for your attendance. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to have an office hour next week. Please check our website for the registration link. And as mentioned at the beginning, if you have any questions, please send those to us at beatgrant@cpuc.ca.gov. Thank you all for your participation today. Please, as I mentioned, send any questions to us that you have, and we'll include those in the FAQ that we publish. Have a great Friday. Thank you all.